Alright, so good afternoon, BSM3, and this is our subject, Applied Business Tools and Technologies, Week 3 for midterms. So this is our topic for today, which is airline reservation system. But before we start, I would like to apologize if there will be any unnecessary noise interruption at my background, katulad na may mga dumadaang sasakyan, or anything in between, like hanga na electric fan. I apologize for that because I recorded this video at my home, and my house is located beside a active street, so I do apologize for that, so please bear with me. And to get to our topic for today is airline reservation system. But before we start is if you have any questions regarding to this topic, please do message me on our social media hat like GC, and also you can message me as well as in Neo. Okay, so before we go to the airline reservation system itself, is we need to understand some key terms that will be used in this system and as well as in the airline industry itself. Okay, so the first one is the aircraft. So the aircraft is capable of air transport such as an airplane or an helicopter or etc. So, diba, in the airline industry, basically, number one or the only air transport vehicle that are being used in the airline industry is an airplane. So there are other companies that offers helicopters but it is a separate air transport company. But in the airline industry, basically they uses an airplane. Next one is the airline. It is a company that provides air transport services for passengers or freight under license from an recognized public authority, also known as a carrier in some geographies. So, diba, an airline company can transport passengers or human beings as well as freight. Freight is in the other terms or cargo. Next one is scheduled airline. So it is an airline that operates its flights to a fixed schedule. Example is flight timings are fixed. Ibig sabihin nito, it is a regular scheduled flights from one place to another. Example is from Manila to Cebu. Some airline companies offers 10 flights a day, 7 days a week, and some destinations are being offered 3 times a week and 1 flight a day, mga ganon. It is called a scheduled airline. Next one is a charter airline. It is an airline whose flights do not have a fixed schedule. Ibig sabihin is there are some private companies that are considered charter airlines because if may nagpabook sa kanila or may nagrenta kanilang private plane, is saka lang sila nagkakaroon ng flights. Okay? Next one is the cabin. So a cabin is a class of service usually identified by a unique set of services offered. Example are economy, business, and first class. Kaya may etc. is because mayroon kasing premium economy na type of class. Pero basically there are 3, namely economy, business, and first class. So the cabin is differ on the type of service depends on the rate of your plane ticket. Diba? So the higher the rate of your plane ticket is the higher the number of amenities and services that being offered to that specific passenger. Next one is flight. So a flight is a trip made by an aircraft between 2 geographical locations from point A to point B. Example is from Manila to Cebu and vice versa. Okay, next one is itinerary. Itinerary is a route of journey proposed by a traveler. Ibig sabihin dito is a traveler is the one who decides where he or she may go, and it is considered as a itinerary. Next is the ticket. The ticket is a printed piece of paper or card showing that its holder has the right to use services on one or more specific flights. But nowadays there are digital plane tickets or an email version of the actual ticket itself. Pwede yun nila ipapakita nila sa counter during check-in as well as the digital boarding passes. Next is the travel agency. So the travel agency is a business that attends to a travel needs of an individual or a group of individuals. So it is a business or a company that offers services that caters to the travel needs of an individual or a group, just like a company or a school. Just like katulad ng ating tours before we hire a specific travel agency that arranges our educational tours. Okay, moving on, continuation to our key terms is the two-letter code. So the two-letter code is to simplify communication in the airline world. So the IATA, or the International Air Transport Association, has designed or designated all scheduled airlines with two-letter codes. So it varies from one airline to another. So walang nakakatulad ng airline code. So these are used in reservations, ticket timetables, and fare tables. In many cases, the airline code is very similar to its name, but occasionally a number or a letter are allocated, just like 5J is equivalent to Cebu Pacific. So Cebu Pacific is the airline, again, is 5J is the official airline code of Cebu Pacific, and for Airlines is PR. Okay, next one is accompanied or unaccompanied baggage. So, accompanied baggage is carried in the same vehicle as the passenger and may be checked or unchecked. Unaccompanied baggage is carried separately as cargo. So, ibig sabihin ng airline kasi every flight is they carry passengers as well as cargo or freight itself. So, unaccompanied baggage is ito yung mga gamit ng mga actual pasahero na sumakay doon sa actual airplane. And the second one is an accompanied baggage is carried separately as cargo. So, ito yung mga pinapadalang freight ng other businesses. Diba? Na pinapasabay nila by air freight. So, yeah. Next one is the airline code. So similar to the two-letter code is the airline code, specifically the unique 2 or 3-digit indicators that identify specific airlines in the CRS system or the computer's reservation system. Yung two-letter codes is given by the IATA or the International Air Transport Association. Yung three-letter codes kasi is sometimes it is being given by the ICAO. But normally all airlines are used ginagamit nila ay yung IATA codes, which is the two-letter code. Okay? So please don't be confused on that. Okay, next one is the alliance. So the alliance is a term for airlines that have grouped together, form an alliance to give them stronger identity and larger market share. So there are three recognized airline alliances that we will discuss in the few slides later. Okay, I will explain the alliance later more. Next one is the Apex. So the Apex is a ticket which has an advanced purchase requirement. So ibig sabihin is the Apex is considered as yung mga advanced purchase with discounted airfare, mga ganyan. So na-discuss na din natin yan, a brief discussion na natin yan during our prelims kung ano ibig sabihin ng Apex. Okay, next one is the APD. So the APD or the Air Passenger Duty. So it is charge payable on tickets for flights leaving from the UK. So remember, this is only being applied in the United Kingdom, the Air Passenger Duty. Okay, next one is the arrival time. So the arrival times are all timetables given the time that the flight will arrive in local time. So, ibig sabihin, the estimated time of arrival. So, because there's the airline companies calculate how long will be the air travel of their airline companies, that it is also indicated in the passenger's ticket. Next is the automated ticket and boarding passes. So nowadays is airline companies are considering the automated or digital ticket and boarding passes. So because of they are using the paperless system. So to lessen the cost of the airline companies to buy and print those tickets and boarding passes. So nowadays is passengers can now choose whether they wanted to a printed version or of their ticket and boarding passes or the digital version that they can save on their mobile phones. So, ayan, kasi pwede na kasi mag-online check-in and also once you have accomplished the online check-in is you will be given a digital boarding pass. Next one is similar is the billing statement settlement plan or the BSP. Hindi siya Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas pero tandaan nyo the in here in this subject is billing settlement plan. So the BSP is a standardized system for airlines and agents providing them with a simplified approach to the selling, reporting and the administration of passenger air transport. So this billing settlement plan is between the airline companies and the travel agencies. Kasi mayroong mga times yung billing statement nila na ina-accumulate nila per week, per month, ang binabayaran naman sa ng mga travel agents sa airline companies and vice versa. Okay. Next one is the budget airline. So the budget airline is also called as no frills or low cost airlines. So they operate schedules, regular timetables like the larger airlines, but often with lower fares. They fly on short haul routes and sometimes in and out of less popular airports. So yeah, so because nowadays is there is an emergence or burst of budget airlines because it is more ano yun, it is more convenient and more it also affordable for regular individuals to go from one place to another. So they are now able to travel more compared to yung mga sinauna pa na napakamahal ng airline ticket. So ngayon, since may budget airlines na is average people can afford to travel from tourist destinations or relaxed. Okay. Next one is katulad na sinabi ko kanina is I will explain more about the airline alliances. So the airline alliances is an agreement between many airlines to work together to share flying routes and resources and extend reciprocal benefits to another's frequent flyers. So members of the airline alliance work together to share everything from flight routes to airport lounges, our ground crews, and even their booking systems. An alliance benefits the airlines financially, but it also helps travelers from providing routes to more places in the world without you having to book separate flights. So, ayan, to explain more about ano ibig sabihin ng airline alliances is, for example, is na-cancelled yung flight nyo due to aircraft defect. Ibig sabihin is hindi nakaalis dahil nagkakaroon ng sira or hindi 100% si aircraft. So, ang tendency, si airline company will cancel your flight. What if you have a connecting flight? Ibig sabihin is, if the airline company has an alliance, ibig sabihin is they can transfer their passenger from their airline company dun sa ka-team member nila or sa kasama nila sa alliance. Ibig sabihin nila, uy, pwedeng pasambot nitong mga pasahero namin para makapunta dun sa same destination. So, yun. Kaya yun yung isang benefit ng alliances. And si passenger is walang babayaran. Kasi, kahit lumipat siya ng airline dahil ka-alliance siya ni airline company na nabili mo, na sasakyan mo dapat is i-transfer kanila sa kabilang company, wala kang babayaran si passenger because ang nag-uusap na is parehong airline company dahil hindi kasalanan ni pasahero na ma-cancel yung flight because of aircraft situations. Okay? So I know this is kind of tricky, but ano, this is the easiest way na pwede ko, na sa tingin ko is may explain ko sa inyo ng maayos. Okay, the Airline Alliance benefits. So the Airline Alliance have several benefits for both the airlines and passengers by working with other airlines. An airline can expand its routes network to be much larger than what could exist with any one airline. When things go wrong, an airline that's part of an alliance has no more options. For example, if you miss your connecting flight on United, you would be put into the next flight operating by any of their alliance partners that gets you where you need to go. Airline alliances also allow bag interfering, so you can check your bag with Delta and it will be checked through to your connecting flight with Air France, for example. And they allow you to use your points accumulated on one airline to travel on an allied airline. Ibig sabihin is, for example, is, di ba, yung mga pointing system, yung mga mabuhay miles, so yung parang SM Advantage card. 'Di ba? May mga miles kasi when you are a frequent flyer that will accumulate into equivalent ng isang airline ticket din. So, yun. So, if mga magkaka-alliance yung mga sinasakyan mong eroplano, so, pwede mong ipag-add lahat ng mga miles, air miles, no? Different airline companies during your travel, then magkakaroon ka na benefit. Plus, you'll still earn miles with your airlines of choice. Finally, you'll have access to another airline's lounge. For example, oneworld elite member have access to over 650 airport lounges around the world. So, if you're a frequent flyer, kasi is you can see or you accommodate the airport lounges. Ibig sabihin is pwede kang hindi magstay sa a regular boarding gate. So, meron yung, yung mga lounges kasi, airline lounges kasi, is makikita mo yung may mga free food, may free amenities that is exclusively for their elite members. So, ano ba yung mga airline alliances? So, there are 3 big airline alliances, namely Star Alliance, oneworld, and SkyTeam. So, the SkyTeam is the biggest airline alliance in terms of number of participating airlines, with 26 airlines in total. So, however, the SkyTeam alliance actually transport more passenger each year. So, it's more likely 730 million to Star Alliance's 728 million passengers. Okay. So first one, so out of 3 is the first one is the Star Alliance. The second one, the Star Alliance was the first of the big 3 alliances to be established, based in Frankfurt, Germany. The alliance was founded in 1997 by the following carriers. So, ito yung first 5 na founders ng Star Alliance, which is Lufthansa, Air Canada, Scandinavian Airlines, Thai Airways, and United Airlines. And their slogan is "The way the Earth connects." Under usual circumstances, it operates over 18,500 departures per day. Ito yung magkakasama na sa yung lahat ng kanilang ka-alliance na airline companies. This feat is achieved with a combined fleet of over 4,500 aircrafts. As such, the alliance had a total passenger count of 728 million a year as of April this year, so it is 2019. And the group has grown in the past 2 decades to include a total of 26 member airlines. So April in 2019, because 2020 is a big change for everyone, specifically the airline industry. So, ano-ano ba yung mga ka-alliance or alliance members of the Star Alliance? So, these are the members of Star Alliance. So, you can browse it naman. I will give you this copy. of this lecture so that you can uh, go back to this. Okay. Okay, moving on to the next one. Next alliance is One World. So the next alliance to join the aviation scene was One World. The association was set up in 1999 and its headquarters in New York. As of October 2017, it was carrying 527.9 million passengers per year. This number is due to the slightly smaller combined fleet. So, fleet kasi is a number of aircrafts per airline company. So, oneworld's combined fleet comes in at just under 3,500 units and sees up to approximately 13,000 daily departures. So, the founding airline companies are British Airways, American Airlines, Cathay Pacific, and Qantas. And in the past 19 years, it has grown to a size of 13 members. Their slogan is an alliance of the world's leading airlines working as one. And these are the members of the One World Alliance. Finnair, American Airlines, British Airways, Cathay Pacific, Iberia, Japan Airlines, LATAM, Malaysian Airlines, Qantas, Qatar, Royal Jordanian, S7, and Sri Lanka. And the last group is SkyTeam of the Big Three. So this association is the youngest of the bunch, having been founded in June 2000. Altogether, the group has 19 members. However, it actually carries the most passengers per annum. SkyTeam members transport up to approximately 730 million people each year. So, there are four founding airlines of the SkyTeam Alliance, namely Aeromexico, Air France, Delta Airlines, Korean Air, and the Netherlands headquarters company now has combined fleet of over 4,000 aircrafts. These factors allows it to operate up to over 15,000 daily departures, and their slogan is carrying more about you. All right, so these are the members of the SkyTeam Alliance. And so, so much for that. So there are, again, remember, there are three airline alliances, namely SkyTeam, One World, and Star Alliance. So, during our next meeting, next asynchronous, we'll have a recitation regarding this, just to remind you. Okay. Next topic that we're going to go through is the global distribution system. So since we already discussed this, we're just going to run through um so this again, very quick, yung mga history and the definitions. Okay, so the global distribution system is a software that travel agencies use to sell airline tickets or book hotel rooms. It's one of the most important channels for airlines to sell their tickets. So since similar nga, so before kasi this about the airline reservation system, ngayon is nowadays is the airline companies are using global distribution system. So a GDS can link services, rates, and reservation, consolidating products and services across all three travel sectors, especially bookings in airlines, hotels, car rentals, and activities. A real-time link is provided by GDS to the vendor's direct database. It holds on inventory with the help of a single GDS software. A travel agent can book flights, hotels, attractions, sightseeing, transfers, and car services. So, ayan. So, before kasi is yung mga airline reservation system specifically and also the computer reservation system, they are still only focusing on the airline ticket booking. But in the global distribution system, it is being combined by hotels, car rentals, and activities in one specific system. So, isa na lang ang gagamitin ng mga travel agent in booking different um, reservations and different modes of businesses. Okay? The history of GDS. Before the creation of computerized reservation system, a traveler who wanted to book a flight would go to an airline or a travel agent who would find a file with the flight's availability and physically check off a seat on the card. As airline operation ramped up, it was nearly impossible to scale this system. Ibig sabihin is, during those times in the 70s, it is manually operated. Ibig sabihin, mano-mano na pupunta sila, yung mga magpapabook ng flight, pupunta doon sa office ng company, then it's check if there are any available flights on their preferred date. So it consisted of 8 people sitting around a rotating table of cards to look several and took several hours from the passenger's query to having a confirmed reservation. So it is called, 'di ba, yung parang yung umiikot kasi yung naka-round the table, yung nakikita nyo sa picture. So, 'di ba, pag sa table, yung mga dining table, it is called a lazy Susan. So, similar idea of that umiikot at yung mga papel na yun is containing one specific airline flight. Tapos doon makikita, ay, kung fully booked na ba siya, oo or hindi. Diba? In the 50s, airlines were at the forefront of technological innovation and created a computerized reservation system. American Airlines was the first to develop this. Together with IBM, they created Sabre, using technology originally designed for the U.S. Air Force to coordinate flight operations. Other airlines followed with United creating Apollo, which was eventually purchased by Galileo and Travelport, and Air France, Iberia, Lufthansa, and SAS creating Amadeus. This computer system were sold to travel agents, making money not just for the system but also by pushing their tickets to the top of the list. In the late 70s, the airline industry became deregulated in the United States and airlines were able to set their own prices. It created a complex market and made this computer reservation system even more valuable. This resulted in the GDS, or the Global Distribution System, which is basically unchanged as of today. Airlines file their schedules with the seat availability in a separate system and file their fares with the airline tariff publishing company. The travel agent uses the GDS to query all of these systems and create an offer. Okay, the need to access the GDS. So, bakit nga ba? Bakit ba kailangan mag-access ng GDS in the airline industry? So, the global distribution system was originally developed to help travel agents worldwide track the flight schedules, availability, and price, and book travel. Yun yung primary purpose niya. And years later, the GDS has developed to a system through which travel agents and travel websites can provide travelers with complete travel package. Because of the GDS nga, they can see the pricing and the availability of the booking on airline companies, hotels, and other activities that in order for them to create a package for their clients. Diba? So, for example of this is an example of a website. So, just like you see, is Cebu Pacific, diba? Ngayon kasi is, aside from the GDS system, some airline companies are now offering their own systems. Like, you can book a flight on their system itself or in their website, as well as they offer different um amenities just like hotel reservations, tours, and other travel services that are being offered as well in the GDS system. Next is Flight Logic in association with Pegasus has changed this scenario by offering its partner hotels free GDS connectivity to the leading global distribution system, namely Sabre, Galileo, Amadeus, and WorldSpan, through the Pegasus switch. Hotel who sign up for the Flight Logic solution can now reach 99% of the world's travel agents free of cost. So, itong Flight Logic is association with Pegasus is for hoteliers, diba? And these are the major GDS systems before, diba? Ang naunang, there are first four. Yung top four is the Amadeus, Sabre, Galileo, and WorldSpan. But nowadays there are other distribution system, namely Pegasus, Abacus, and Travelport. So these are the major GDS systems. So Amadeus is founded in 1987 by Air France, Iberia, Lufthansa, and SAS. Its headquarters is in Madrid, Spain, and it is the largest booking share in Europe and the third largest booking share across the globe. And this is the GDS being used by the following website, namely eBookers, Expedia UK, and Opodo. Next GDS is Galileo. Galileo is founded in 1993 by 11 major North American and European airlines. Its headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. It is the second largest booking share across the globe, and it is the GDS used by the websites Cheap Tickets and eBookers. Next is Sabre. Sabre is founded in 1964 by American Airlines and IBM. Its headquarters is in Salt Lake, Texas in the United States. It is the largest booking share across the world, and Sabre is being used by Expedia and Travelocity. Next one is WorldSpan. WorldSpan is founded in 1990 by Delta, Northwest, and Transworld Airlines. It merged with Galileo in 2006, and it is used by Orbitz, Heartwire, and Priceline. So, ibig sabihin, magka-same company na si WorldSpan and Galileo. Next is Pegasus. Pegasus is developed for hoteliers, and it is a direct connection with the key online travel agencies to include Expedia and Booking.com. And this GDS also direct guests via phone and internet booking engine application. Next is Abacus. Abacus is only used by travel agencies in Asia. Its headquarters is in Singapore, and it is owned by Sabre Holdings and 11 Asian airlines. And lastly is the Travelport. The Travelport its headquarters is in United Kingdom and is one of the three major global distribution system operators nowadays, and it is comprised of the Apollo, WorldSpan, and Galileo GDS system. So, kasi, di ba dati merong top 4, ngayon kasi is nabili or nag-merge na sila into one, which is Travelport. It is under operation by Travelport, yung Apollo, WorldSpan, and Galileo. The current GDS market. So, ano na ba nangyayari sa GDS nowadays? So, as the role of traditional travel agencies is being replaced by online travel agencies, because ngayon nga is everyone is being tech savvy, so most people are now preferring online transactions. GDS still continue to dominate. OTAs are simply replacing the human travel agents with a website, but they are still using the same GDS system to book the actual ticket. GDS providers have developed other software and typically produce a whole suite of services for the airlines ranging from passenger services to revenue management systems. Their main resources of revenue, however, still comes from the distribution. For Amadeus, approximately 65% of their revenue comes from distribution fees. This revenue is all often greater than the total revenue of many airlines that they serve. When it comes to a return on capital, airlines are at the least profitable segment of the industry. Travel agents and providers of IT products like GDS are the most profitable segment. Ibig sabihin is kumikita si GDS from the travel agent, not from the kumikita ang GDS mostly from the travel agents and IT providers compared to the actual airline companies itself na nagbabayad sa kanila. The major players in GDS. Currently, the largest GDS providers are Amadeus Sabre and Travelport and TravelSky. In 2016, Amadeus was the largest provider in terms of market share and revenue and controlled nearly 44% of the entire GDS market, with the most of its booking in Europe. Second is Sabre is the second largest GDS provider and the largest in the Americas. It has its own GDS and also the Abacus GDS, which is entirely for the APAC region, Asia Pacific. In the 1990s, airlines were strapped for cash and they spun off their respective GDS as separate companies. These systems will still dominate the market, although the direct distribution channels is becoming more important. The Travelport controls the Galileo and WorldSpan GDS system, but contains a much smaller overall market share. TravelSky is the state-run GDS for the Chinese market only. Okay? Remember, TravelSky is only for the Chinese market. The main difference between the GDS providers are the markets in which they primarily serve, as well as the language used to build passenger name records or PNR. So, in the finals, doon natin discuss ang PNRs and create inquiries. Some smaller airlines may also sell their inventory on one GDS but not another. So they may differ in inventory offered. So we discuss the major players in the GDS system, is now we will discuss the current issues of GDS. So hindi naman to lahat, so I just selected one. Okay? So in terms of the issues of the global distribution system. So the main issues airlines currently have with GDS are the fees produced when querying for a ticket or when booking a segment. Currently, the average fee per segment booked through a GDS is approximately 4 euros per booking. While this doesn't seem like much, it makes it difficult for trips with connections to complete with direct flights or flights booked without GDS. Kasi malaki din pag pinagsama-sama, di ba? Another common grip about GDS providers is that they have been weak in innovation. The interface most GDS providers use is basically unchanged since their inception and allows little in the way for displaying content beyond price and schedule. So, yeah. So, after this lecture, makikita nyo ano ba talaga yung itsura ng GDS. Diba? Ayan, we will discuss that once we discuss the actual interface itself on our next lecture. The future of GDS. It is not immediately clear what the future distribution landscape will look like. However, it's likely that airlines will try to create direct connection with travel agencies and TMCs or travel management companies to bypass GDS providers. Airlines will also work to grow their traditional direct distribution channels. Companies like Fairlogics are creating NDC or new distribution capabilities. connections with travel agencies for this very purpose. American Airlines is going to start paying travel agents $2 for every booking through NDC. Ibig sabihin is commission ni travel agent from the airline company pag nakabook sila ng kanilang flights. Reviving an old practice. While airlines like AIG, International Airline Group, and Lufthansa are forcing GDS providers to create NDC connections by charging for their standard GDS booking. And lastly, this is our last slide for today, is GDS providers are slowly stepping up their game by following on ways to sell ancillaries and further improve their interface. For example, Sabre has introduced a graphical user interface for their GDS platforms. Additionally, they are trying to become NDC aggregators. Travelport has reached NDC Level 3 aggregator status. This is the highest certification level, which means they're capable of managing offers and orders. It's likely that people gap will remain in the distribution landscape. Airlines are working out what they're capable to do with their direct distribution, while an NDC that the GDS providers will try to fill, for example, with business travelers and niche airlines who lack advertising resources. However, the distribution landscape is beginning to move away from times where GDS are only gatekeepers of distribution. So, ibig sabihin is, we will see what will happen with the GDS system. So, before nga is yung mga travel agencies are using the GDS, ngayon is mostly online. So, yung mga information ng mga online booking sites is coming from the GDS system. So, and in the future, let's see what the future holds in the global distribution system. And that's it for our topic for today with regards to the airline reservation system. So for our next meeting for your asynchronous is, please be prepared or on the quiz regarding to this topic. So there will be two sets of quiz regarding this one, regarding to this set. Part 1 for the airline reservation and part 2 for the GDS system. Again, part 1 is the airline reservation system and part 2 will be the global distribution system. Okay, it's 1 to 10, 1 to 10, so equivalent to 1 to 20. So equivalent to 2 quizzes. Okay, and for our next meeting, for our next asynchronous, please be prepared for our recitation. There will also be two parts. The fourth part 1 will be the passenger's bill of rights. Again, our next asynchronous, next Monday will be our recitation for the passenger bill of rights. And the next one is part 2 will be the airline alliances. Okay, part 1, again, for our synchronous on Monday will be recitation for passenger bill of rights. So, you will explain it to me kung ano man yung itatanong ko sa iyo regarding to the passenger bill of rights. And the second part will be the airline alliances. So, ayan. Okay, you will identify, sasabihin nyo sa akin whether it is an airline alliance, kung which airline alliance ba kabilang airline company na yon, or vice versa. Okay, so if you have any questions regarding this topic and my announcement regarding to our quizzes and recitation, please don't hesitate to message me to our group chat on Facebook or directly message me through Neo. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for listening and have a good day.